to see the game at home. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Monday Night Football.
The ball. At 6'4" and with great leaping ability, Toon makes the difficult look easy. And after 11 games, he was the league leader in receptions. On the other side is the game breaker, Wesley Walker, who at 31 still can fly with the best. Walker has caught 12 touchdown passes this year, 4 in the Jets' 51-45 victory over Miami in September, including the tying TD and the winner in overtime. When the Jets go to the run, they can look to Freeman McNeil and Johnny Hector. And when healthy, as he is once again, McNeil is a dangerous slashing ball control runner. The offense is awesome, and it will have to be as the Jets look toward the playoffs with a defense that has been decimated by injuries. And tonight, that defense will be tested by Miami Dolphin quarterback Dan Marino. Marino tops the league in yardage and touchdowns with 6 of his 27 TDs coming against the Jets in their first meeting. Tonight, live from Miami, it's the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. This time he rattles one inside the 15, and here comes Vigorito. Picket line setting up. He's gone. He could go high. Could be somewhere around 67 yards. No flags are down. The Cowboys show blitz. And they bring it. Goodbye. Wait. His 17th touchdown of the season. From the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, on a warm, humid South Florida evening. Tonight, it's the New York Jets with the best record in the NFL and a 9-game winning streak against the Miami Dolphins. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. By Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. By Black & Decker, ideas at work. By Citizen, no other watch expresses time as beautifully. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford. Welcome to a sold-out Orange Bowl in Miami. It's supercharged with excitement. Miami Dolphin fans, even though their team is 5-6, they are looking for an upset win over the Jets tonight. We know about the Jets. They are a very explosive offensive team with their quarterback, Ken O'Brien, rapidly developing into one of the game's best, if not the best. He has great outside receivers in Wesley Walker and Al Toon. It's on the defense where they are troubled. They have lost their entire defensive line into tonight's game. Perhaps the key man, Mark Gastineau, who really wasn't playing that well until he injured his knee a couple of weeks ago because he had a groin problem. He was not applying the pass pressure he has over the past couple of years. The key man, of course, Joe Klecko. They will be replaced tonight by these gentlemen. Well known in New York, but out of there, I guess you could say they are back to the no-name defense. They have played well, as have many of the other players who have filled in for a much injured New York Jet team. There's a lot of excitement here in the Orange Bowl because it was a year ago. We were here with Monday Night Football, and the Chicago Bears came to town. They were 12-0 when they came here. When they left, they had lost their first game of the season, 38-24. The Miami Dolphins team remembers that. The fans remember that. And, Al, we'll never forget it. And they are looking for it to happen once again. Lightning to strike twice.
That's exactly what the fans are hopeful of. We have an oddity here tonight, Frank. We're taking a look at one team that has the best record in the NFL, in the Jets. The other team, the Dolphins, are having a very disappointing season. And yet the Jets are only slightly favored. And, in fact, a lot of people in the know feel the Dolphins will win this game for a number of reasons. One of those touched upon by Frank, the missing 3 defensive linemen. In addition, the Jets are also missing Lance Mel, who is out for the rest of the year, the great linebacker. You have the Chicago factor from last year, and also what Marino did to the Jets defensively in New York, and also what Marino has been doing this season. Even though the Dolphins have had a lot of problems on defense and a non-existent rushing game, Dan is having a typical Marino season. Last week, 4 touchdown passes against the Buffalo Bills. And last Monday night, you'll recall, in the San Francisco-Washington game, we saw Schrader and Montana throw 100 passes. Nobody will be surprised if O'Brien and Marino duplicate that feat tonight, and a lot of points are rung up on the scoreboard in Miami. So the Jets coming in, hopeful of their 10th consecutive win, and the Miami Dolphins are trying to get back up to the 500 mark. As you look at O'Brien, the Dolphins have not beaten a quality team this season. They have 5 victories, but they have taken care of Indianapolis twice, Buffalo twice, and Houston. O'Brien having a great year, and again, the type of player who is somewhat quiet, who is not particularly charismatic, and really doesn't seek the attention, and thus is a relative unknown for somebody who's putting up numbers like he has. Back deep to receive for the Jets, Bobby Humphrey, number 48, and JoJo Townsell, number 83, as Squad Reves tees it up. And this big crowd, sounding like a crowd cheering on a team fighting for a championship, rises and becomes very noisy as we get set for the opening kickoff. Townsell takes it at the 12-yard line. And can't break away and is stopped at the 23. And so O'Brien leading the Jets out. O'Brien out of Cal Davis, the University of California at Davis, which is just west of Sacramento. And the men with him, Freeman McNeil and Tony Page in the backfield. The great wide receivers, Toon and Walker, and Schuler might have a big night if they double the outside men. Sweeney, Banker, Fields is back off IR. Alexander and the former Giant Jordan King, the offensive line. 1st and 10, New York from the 23-yard line. With the second tight end, Cleaver, in motion, and McNeil taking it over the right side for a gain of about 5. Stopped by Bob Brudzinski. The Dolphins with Turner, Mike Charles, and Little, the 3-man front. Brudzinski's shift, the rookie Offerdahl, is probably their best defensive player. And then the secondary, highly suspect this year in particular. Langford and Judson, the corners. Blackwood and Brown, who was hurt last week but is back at safety. Cleaver in motion, and again they keep it on the ground, and McNeil runs that same play to the other side and gets out close to a first down to the 34-yard line.
Now, there's no question that Joe Walton would like to come out and run the football if he can. He likes to do that just purely on his own philosophy. We saw now the 2 tight ends working, Rocky Cleaver and Mickey Schuler. It was Cleaver in motion, cracking back on the inside man, and Mickey Schuler was releasing on the block, not blocking at all, moving downfield to work on the safety. They would like to move it on the ground and keep it on the ground until the Dolphins adjust, and then they can change off and go to those wide receivers, Wesley Walker and Al Toon.
And McNeil is coming off a 104-yard day last week against Indianapolis. And again, it's McNeil. And McNeil has carried 3 times for a total of 14 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7 as Mark Brown, number 51, makes the stop.
And for Miami, it's just as tough to deal with the Jets. They know with McNeil back and healthy once again, coming off that game after missing 4 games with a dislocated elbow, that they are in trouble either on the ground or in the air. They would like to double cover on the outside, Al Toon and Wesley Walker, but when they do double cover, that really weakens the run force and hurts them against the run game. So they're caught in between a rock and a hard spot.
Meanwhile, the Jets go with a 3 tight end alignment with Billy Griggs in motion. And again, as if giving Miami some sort of message, or at least trying to set up whatever it is further down the line in the game plan, as McNeil through the middle.
And the Jets perhaps now will go with the pass for the first time. They are going to go with 4 wide receivers. There is Joe Walton. He calls all the plays. He's done that brilliantly this year. He has also handled the offense brilliantly, along with Richie Kotite, a former teammate of his with the New York Giants. 4 wide receivers in: JoJo Townsell, Kurt Sohn joins Al Toon, and Wesley Walker. And Ken O'Brien is a master at finding the man they will be covering individually.
3rd and 3, and they have Hector in there, spelling McNeil. Is on, and the pass is incomplete. David Fry Miami, number 53, the reserve linebacker, was the man who forced O'Brien to throw in a hurry.
O'Brien got rid of it, but he paid the price. Bottom of the screen, number 53. This is what happens when you go with the 4 wide receivers. Put your tight end into the pattern. You do not have enough men to match up. And it was David Fry who leveled O'Brien, and he went out holding some ribs, although he does appear to be all right.
4th and 3. Craig Ellis, who joined the team about a month ago, stands back at the 15-yard line, and the former Giant Dave Jennings, whose net average is a lot better than his gross mark this year, indicating a couple of things. The ball is hanging for him, and the coverage on the special teams has been good. The gross average not scintillating, but all in all, it's been a good punting game for New York. Ellis misjudged it initially and then had to make the catch at the 20-yard line. And Miami with Marino coming out offensively. Dan Marino, not only a leading passer this year, but up among the leaders all time with Hampton and Bennett, the running backs, Duper and Clayton, the great wide receivers, Hardy, the tight end, and the line. The man in the middle, Dwight Stevenson, is the big man. The rest of the line having its problems basically this year, as Miami has not had a running game to speak of. First down from the 20-yard line. And Marino to put it up immediately and going deep, but too deep, intended for Clayton. 2nd and 10.
Marino going right against Russell Carter, who missed last week with a pulled hamstring. Now, there is no question what the Dolphins are going to do. They throw the football primarily because they can't run the football. They have not had a 100-yard rushing game from a back in 40 games into the night, and that's just incredible. I think the nearest team to that is 19. A look at the defense. Makeshift, Al.
It is. Kyle Clifton, in fact, Frank, is the only Jet defensive player to start all 11 games. There was a story today that said 3. That's incorrect. Just 1. Only Clifton has started all the games for New York on defense. And it's Lorenzo Hampton who spins his way out to the 25-yard line. Stopped by Bob Grable, number 50. And it will be 3rd down and 5.
They will throw the run at you occasionally. They have to keep it honest. But their game is the pass game. And they are extraordinary when they put the ball in the air because, quite frankly, Dan Marino is one of the quickest release ever to come into this game.
The Dolphins have appeared on Monday night more than any other team in the NFL. And as you can see, they've had great success, especially here. 3rd and 5. Miami from the 25 and Marino out of the shotgun. Jets almost jump off. No flag. Marino fires complete for a first down to the 37 to the venerable Nat Moore, who's pulled down by Harry Hamilton. Nat Moore in his 13th year out of Florida.
He compliments the outside receivers, Duper and Clayton, who in all probability will be getting double coverage all night long. Meanwhile, you turn a Nat Moore loose, and the 13-year veteran works around, finds a little zone, and as you can see, they're trying to cover him from the inside with the linebacker, and Nat Moore will beat you as he did then, and he gets the first down.
Dolphins from their own 37. Keep it on the ground, and it's Lorenzo Hampton taking the ball out to the 42-yard line. One of the injured Jets right there, Joe Klecko, in uniform, but highly doubtful we'll see him.
Probably miss him more than any other defensive man. They've lost Lance Mel. We didn't touch him on him at the very beginning, but Lance Mel, kind of the leader on the pass defense unit, and Klecko, really the spirit of this defensive team, a great football player, and they could very well have him back in a couple of weeks.
2nd and 5 from the 43-yard line. Motion, and the pitch goes to Hampton, and Hampton tries to cut it back and takes it out to the 45-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 2. The feeling seems to be, Frank, that Hampton is a pretty good back, that Miami in the future can utilize Lorenzo Hampton. The problem basically in establishing the running game has been the blocking up front.
Their offensive line has been shuffled around all year long. They have 2 players on it, really, Stevenson and Foster, and the rest of it has been kind of makeshift and fill in all year long. Larry Lee over on the right side. He was a free agent. Greg Cook, free agent from Green Bay. Geeser is just back off a knee injury from a year ago. So at the very least, it is still hurting, and it is tough to run with that kind of an offensive line.
On 3rd down and 2, Woody Bennett goes in motion, and they give it to Hampton. Big hole out in front. And nobody's going to catch him. Touchdown on the ground.
All right.
Touchdown given up by the Jets this season.
And this against the number 1 defense against the rush. The Jets have that. Hampton found a great hole on the outside. That play was designed to go up the middle behind Dwight Stevenson and Foster. Nothing was there. He broke it off to the left. Big opening, and the Jets were up there in the short yardage defense, and there was no one home after he got by the line of scrimmage.
Juan Reveiz puts it through. 7-0.
And, of course, it's the number 1 defense that was developed over a season that included Klecko and Gastineau and Marty Lyons. Let's look at it again. It was designed to go right up the gut. There it is. And Hampton reads it out to the outside, and he is off on a full sprint. And, of course, with everyone up there on the short yardage, there was no one in the secondary. The linebackers have filled the gap. Easy touchdown for Miami in a surprising fashion.
On top by a score of 7-0. 54-yard run for Hampton. In Miami's first 11 games this season, their longest run from scrimmage had been 25 yards. He more than doubled it. Reveiz's kick is a beauty, and Humphrey has to down it in the end zone. 1st and 10 from the 20. As you look at Marty Lyons, who's on IR, he's here. Klecko's in uniform, but doubtful as far as playing is concerned, and Gastineau is not in Miami.
In the Jets scheme of defense, they would have been in a 4-down line with Marty Lyons over that right side against that 3rd down and short yardage. Lyons was not there. Perhaps even more importantly, Klecko was not there because he fills everything, tackle to tackle. And consequently, the Dolphins were able to do what no one expected them to do, and certainly, most of all, the Jets' defensive team.
1st down from the 20 as O'Brien retreats and throws a little swing pass out to McNeil, and he fights his way for a 1st down as he gets to the 30-yard line. 1st and 10, New York.
You saw Joe Fields leading that. It was a little more than a swing. It was a screen out in front of Don Shula, who has to be suffering with a 5-6 record into tonight. He has only had 1 losing season in his 24 years as a head coach, 17 of them here at Miami. But you saw Joe Fields, who has returned tonight. He is the center. He is the guts of that offensive line for the Jets, so something positive for the Jets, at least in the return of Joe Fields.
Bingham, meanwhile, had done a pretty good job filling in while he was gone. And over the middle, it's complete out to the 39-yard line to Al Toon. And a lot of transplanted New Yorkers. I hardly have to tell those of you who are familiar with either New York or Miami, a lot of transplanted New Yorkers, a lot of vacationing New Yorkers, and thus we hear Toon, and also get a penalty that's going to negate the play. Illegal procedure against the Jets. Jerry Siemens, the referee tonight.
Now we could read the lips for at least illegal motion.
Right, silent movie. And we even colorized it. 1st and 15 from the 25-yard line. He is stopped by Mike Charles, number 71, who's had a bizarre season. Mike Charles, the nose tackle, had a weight problem early on. They sent him to a dietitian. He missed some practices. They wanted him to take a drug test, and he didn't, so they suspended him. Then brought him back, played against the 49ers, hurt his groin, went on injured reserve, and finally came back in the Houston game. They questioned his work habits, but if he ever puts it all together, he'd be very helpful in the middle for them.
Filling big shoes in Bob Baumauer.
2nd and 14, and over the middle and wide open is McNeil, and McNeil gets the first down out to the 43-yard line.
They told us he was much healthier than he had been. He dislocated that elbow back in the first week of the season, and nobody has the quick cut like McNeil. Maybe he does not have the sustained long speed, but O'Brien is trying to go deep. They have the checkoff man. Good setup on the pass play. McNeil was there looking O'Brien right in the eye. Look at that move right there as he breaks away from the linebacker, gets away from Offerdahl, and more importantly, knows where the first down is, slides forward and gets it.
Now Hector is in the game. Johnny Hector, 34, and he pairs with Tony Page. And that's Rocky Cleaver in motion, and Hector carries over the right side and bowls his way out to the 47. And when they write the chapter in Jets history entitled 1986, he'll fill a lot of pages, Frank, the job he's done in relief of Freeman McNeil.
Oh, yes. When McNeil was injured in that first week of the season we mentioned a moment ago, he came on, had a couple of 100-yard games, and filled in more than you would expect. Although when he came up 4 years ago, he played a lot then, and you could see a lot of promise. And this has been an exceptional year thus far for Hector.
Second down and 5 from the 48. Miami ahead, 7-0. Fake reverse, under pressure is O'Brien, underthrows, but coming back is Walker to make the catch, and out of bounds. Nice play by Walker to adjust after the fake reverse as they had sent Kuhn in motion. Faked it to him. Pressure was put on O'Brien, causing the short throw, but the completion in a 30-yard gain.
And William Judson was man for man against Walker, and you're exactly right, Al. The fake reverse throws Judson for just a moment. Even though it was underthrown, it's much easier for a receiver who's got by a defender. Now, you see, Judson has to run full stride because he knows that he is being out-sprinted by Walker. And when he checks up, it's too late. Walker comes back and gets the ball.
First and 10 at the 23-yard line with Cleaver in motion. And the pitch, McNeil gets about 5:18 to play first quarter. And here's a guy who is no stranger at the Orange Bowl in civvies tonight, but he's given the fans their share of thrills. Heisman Trophy winner, I'm sure.
Going away.
In a couple of weeks.
Final game coming up, at least before what could be a showdown for the national championship, will be Thursday. They go against East Carolina. What a remarkable season for this young man.
Vinny Testaverde. Second and 4 from the 17-yard line. And no room in the middle for Johnny Hector.
The ball's loose.
Football. And Seaman taking a peek.
It does bunch him, doesn't it?
Yeah. Both officials. Neither has given a signal yet. The only signals have come from the Dolphins. And now one from the officials. Miami football. Seaman got right down there for a very first-hand look. We believe Mark Brown, 51, is the man.
There's the handoff. And going to Johnny Hector. Tried to reverse his field, and he was just hammered and hit hard. You see the ball between his legs. It was Mike Charles who put the hit on Hector. And it was Mark Brown who comes up with the first turnover of the night, and the Dolphins get it back at their own 16-yard line.
So the Miami Dolphins and Mark Brown. And there's a look at Mike Charles. Brown recovering, and Charles was the man who made the hit. As the Dolphins take over at their own 16-yard line, first and 10 from the 16. Marino throws complete to Bruce Hardy, and Hardy takes it out to the 23. The pressure that time put on by Charles Jackson, and Hardy's a guy who, when the receivers, the wideouts, are covered, he'll figure very prominently, as was the case last week against Buffalo.
And we talked of the troubles the Jets have on the defensive line. They have also lost Lance Mell for the season with major knee problems. Rusty Gilbo came back this last week. He is on the outside. Bob Crable, who had been there, has moved to the inside. So they are in a period of adjustment at the linebacker position.
Second and a short 4, and that's Hampton. Gets it out to the 26-yard line. It will be 3rd and 1 upcoming. And the Dolphins, who've had a terrible time running the football this season, now back at Hampton, a 54-yard run, as you can see, the longest of his career and the longest by a Dolphin in 6 years.
Wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
They came into tonight as the team with the worst record rushing the ball in the league. They were 28th and last. They went against a Jets team, and thus far they've been able to move the ball on the ground rather well. That is rated number 1 after 11 games against the rush. Funny game that we'll watch.
3rd down and 1 from just outside the 25. And Bennett goes in motion to provide more leverage, and up the middle, getting the first down goes Ron Davenport. His first carry, the 6'2", 230-pound second-year man out of Louisville. 1st and 10. You know what's amazing, Frank? They're 28th in rushing, they're 1st in passing, and they're 1st in total offense, to show you how fabulous their passing game has been.
Good lead block by Woody Bennett. And again, the surprising is happening, at least early in the game tonight. The 2 explosive wide receivers, Clayton and Duper, relatively quiet thus far, but that can't be long in coming because they are having great years. Hampton now flanked out, Al up at the top.
Along with Clayton, who now goes in motion to the same side as Duper. And Marino will go to the right side, throws underneath, the flag is down. Bruce Hardy, who made 7 catches last Sunday against Buffalo. Lester Lyles makes the tackle, and Siemens' Mike is working. .226 to go in a rapid first period. And again, it's illegal procedure against Miami. Marino wants to know what for. Illegal formation? Let's see.
They move a lot of people around, and often you don't have enough men at the line of scrimmage, or the wrong people at the line of scrimmage, or too many of them.
Could be. You need 7.
Illegal formation. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Still first down.
That was it. Extra guy. Dolphins, it's funny, they're having a disappointing year at 5 and 6, and yet again it's a Shula coach team.
And look at this.
Yeah, and there are the Jets, the best record in the league and the most penalties. What a correlation, huh?
Up until last year, the Dolphins had gone 9 straight years. They were the least penalized team in the game, and then last year the Washington Redskins edged them. They are on track once again, however. Now we've got it worked out, perhaps.
There was no infraction on the play. The right man was on the end of the line. Moved the ball out.
That must have been a video replay. Somebody had to be counting.
This is becoming a Monday night tradition.
I'd be interested to know if there was a screening of that by Jack Reeder, who is in charge of the instant replay apparatus tonight.
So in any event, no flag after all of that, and it's 2nd down and 3. Miami from its 36. 2:10 to go, first period. Dolphins on top, 7-0. Hardy in motion. Hampton with blocking, but it never really developed. And he gets only out to the 39-yard line behind Foster and Larry Lee.
The Dolphins have got themselves back into a 3rd and about 1, maybe a little less than 1, and there have been times over the past couple of years, the Marino years, you might call it, or the Marino era, and they've put the ball in the air even here. They've been successful earlier tonight on a 3rd and 1, and they used the big man, Ron Davenport.
And Davenport is in there again. He's had 1 carry, and it was moments ago for a first down on a 3rd and short. Davenport, number 30. He's in front of Hampton. Marino fumbles the football and recovers it, but it means they're going to have to kick. So Stevenson and Marino, the unlikely combination, creating a fumble.
He's pulling away from the center. I don't know whether he was stepped on or not. It could have been Stevenson stepping back for the drive block that caused Marino to pull away and cough up the ball, which he quickly covers, and it brings out one of the game's better punters.
As Kurt Sohn drops back, Reggie Roby a couple of years ago looked like he'd be all-world, but he had the bad Super Bowl against San Francisco, and he's really had an erratic year in '86.
Whoa,
vintage Roby-type kick, taken at the 12-yard line. And a decent run back by Kurt Sohn as he goes out of bounds at the 26 with 41 seconds to play in the period. So the Jets will take over after a 50-yard Roby boot in the waning seconds of the first quarter. The 45 overtime game. There were the numbers for O'Brien. 479 gross, and then he was sacked for 30 yards. So 449 net. The net yardage in that game for the two teams was 884 yards, or a little bit more than a half mile. First and 10 from the 26 as O'Brien throws to McNeil. First down. He gets to the 40, gains 14 in Offerdahl, 56. The good-looking rookie out of Western Michigan, who's had a bad elbow and missed last week's game, makes the stop.
It's the rookie, John Offerdahl, who played so well. Missed last week's game, however, up in Buffalo because of a severely bruised right forearm. And that's Clayton cooling off on a very humid night here in November in Miami. Temperature about 80 degrees coming in to the start of the game.
From the 39-yard line with Walker in motion, Freeman McNeil ends the first quarter with a gain of about 3 to the 42. So it's been a rapidly moving first period in a game that figured to take a long, long time with all of the aerial fireworks, but they stayed on the ground. And we go to the second quarter with Miami leading the Jets 7-0.
ABC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealers. For traditional comfort, for technical innovation, and for a real commitment to quality, come to Buick, where better really matters.
Second quarter at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Now Michaels with Frank Gifford. Funny, last Monday night we had that marathon game in Washington. The third quarter that night took 57 minutes. The first quarter tonight here took 30 minutes. Fast. First down, or second and 7 as we start the second period. And O'Brien throws and nearly has it picked off by number 43, Bud Brown, intended for Schuler. Third and 7.
Good effort by Schuler to get out of the hands of Bud Brown, who has stepped right in front of the intended receiver. This is a pass you won't see O'Brien throw very often. He stays in that pocket longer than most quarterbacks, waits for it to develop, and there is Schuler, pulled on the right arm of Brown, got the ball out of there, and saved the interception, and it puts O'Brien definitely in the passing mold. He's got the two wide receivers to the top of the screen.
Walker and Soon, and he's looking that way, and he's throwing for Walker, and he has him for a first down, and he's run out at the 41 by Paul Langford. Wesley Walker in his 10th year and having a brilliant season.
Offensive line again giving Ken O'Brien plenty of time to throw the football, and he'll take all you'll give him. Now, O'Brien has to wait a long time here. Walker fights upfield, working hard against Paul Langford, making him think he's going to go deep. Plants that left foot, breaks it to the sideline. Now, this has taken a lot of time, and credit the time that O'Brien got on that to Dan Radakovic, who was brought in to coach that offensive line this year to do one thing, keep Ken O'Brien, who was sacked 62 times for a league record a year ago, to give him more time.
First down from the 41-yard line. Fake to McNeil. O'Brien sliding and throwing, and that one is picked off by Brown, and then he fumbles the football and gets it back at the 16-yard line. So Brown, who missed an interception moments ago, gets one, fumbles, but maintains possession, and Miami has the football.
O'Brien was trying to get it to Walker. Bud Brown was doubling up on Al Toon over to O'Brien's left. He never saw Brown as he fell off Toon and stepped right in front of Walker, made the interception. Then he loses it, but he does recover, and again, the Dolphins get a turnover, and they'll have the football inside their own 15. Dolphins' total yards were provided by Lorenzo Hampton on a third and short when he burst through for the Miami touchdown, and they have a 7-0 lead.
From the 16-yard line, Nat Moore goes in motion, and they call Hampton's number again, and Hampton fights his way out to the 19-yard line. It'll be second down and 7. Bud Brown giving Miami the ball back, but Langford also out of the secondary being worked on the sidelines.
The secondary of the Dolphins, they have been much maligned this year. Judson over in one corner, Langford on the other, but when you don't get any pass pressure whatsoever, and the Dolphins ended tonight with 24 sacks, only 9 interceptions, They just are not pressuring the passer. They've been unable to get there. They lost Hugh Green earlier in the year. He was to be their man.
On 2nd and 7. Good protection from Marino, and he hits Hampton underneath. And Hampton takes it out to the 25-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 1.
You saw Marino. He wanted to get his offense set. He likes to change off, as does his counterpart, Ken O'Brien, and he was running out of time on the 30-second clock. He wanted him to get set so he could look it over and perhaps change the play. And by the time that offensive line was set, he had to go with the play he'd called in the huddle because it was too late to change it.
Hampton, 25 yards shy of 100. The Dolphins have not had a 100-yard game by a running back since '84 when Joe Carter did it against Houston. 3rd and 1. And Marino to put it up and over the middle, complete for a first down to the 34, and then Bruce Hardy again, the tight end.
Hardy gets the first down, and good pass protection for Marino. That's what the Dolphins really concentrate on. They protect their quarterback, Dan Marino. He has the quick release. As you saw there, he looked to deep to his outside receiver. He was covered, so he throws underneath. But they are 28 running the football. They've run it surprisingly well tonight. But one of the reasons is that they work principally on pass blocking to protect Marino.
1st and 10 from the 33. And Marino deep outside and complete to the 50-yard line to Mark Clayton. Was hit by Holmes and another first down. Miles and Holmes recovering.
Like O'Brien, Marino looks for the man who's single covered, and he got that time. He got the matchup. Clayton working against Jerry Holmes. And again, he had a lot of time to throw the ball. We'll take a look. It was blast blocking, or the little play action fake to number 34, Woody Bennett. The Jets were bringing linebacker Charles Jackson. That meant there was single coverage, and here was the single coverage. Holmes against Clayton. Holmes had to respect the speed of Clayton going deep. Consequently, Clayton was wide open for another first down.
Marino is 6 for his first 7 for 57 yards. And the 6 completions have not been successive. Pitch to Hampton. He gets into Jets territory and is written down in a bunch at the 49-yard line. 2nd and 8 with 11 and a half minutes to play in the half.
Miami continuing to run relatively successfully against the Jets. That time they worked on the left side where they have been doing a lot of work tonight. Lance Mel is out of the lineup over on that side with an injured knee. Rusty Gilbo had just come back off injured reserve. But again, the Jets are going without Flecko, Marty Lyons, Mark Gastineau. That would be their front three were they healthy.
2nd and 8 from the 49-yard line. Marino firing, and again it's Hardy, and he makes the catch and has a first down at the 39-yard line. And already now 4 catches tonight for Hardy, who's caught 38 this season.
Again, let's watch the blocking, because sometimes the spectacular fireworks you see downfield, they're ignited right here. Great work in the middle. Dwight Stevenson, number 57, giving Marino all the time he needed. Coming off the line of scrimmage, Bruce Hardy, who can run rather quickly, and he makes a good cut into the pattern. Just for trying to cover him with the linebacker Clifton, it's tough duty.
1st and 10. Miami at the Jets' 40-yard line. Dolphins ahead 7-0. Marino finds his man and picks up about 5 as Mark Clayton makes the catch. And that's sort of reminiscent of the game against Chicago last year. Marino out of the pocket and all over and finding his receivers and leading Miami to the victory.
And the Jets, again, having a hard time putting pressure on a quarterback. That has been their problem, and it's been aggravated with the additional loss of Flecko, who was co-leader in sacks. Of course, Gastineau was hurt early in the year, had a pulled groin. He never was the Gastineau that we had known in previous years, so they have really suffered in pressuring a passer, and it is really hurting them here tonight.
Both teams with extremely balanced attacks thus far, as Davenport carries to the 32-yard line, and it will be 3rd down and 2. I guess this is one of those games when you look at it on paper beforehand, you figure nothing but pass. So the offense, figuring the defense is thinking that, figures, well, we'll keep them honest by running.
Well, of course, it's what you'd have to think about. You mentioned it earlier. The previous game, the two quarterbacks passed for a half a mile. Right now, it's a very conservative type game. As you look at pro football today, they've sprinkled the pass in with the run, so to speak, and consequently, it's a rapidly moving game.
3rd and 2, Miami, and Miami has to take a timeout prior to a 3rd and 2 at the 32-yard line, as Marino comes over to the side with 8:51 to go in the first half, and he's not happy about having to take the timeout.
This graphic is that Dan Marino has done this in 4 years. His 6 400-yard games. He had one a week ago against Buffalo. Of course, he had that one against the Jets September the 21st. It took Dan Fouts, 14 years, and Sonny Jurgensen, I guess, a couple of decades between Philadelphia and the Washington Redskins. But again, Marino is fortunate enough. If you're a quarterback, I would say that, because he came to a team that had to start putting the ball in the air and keeping it in the air.
Of those 400-yard games, he's won 4 and lost 2. Remember last week we saw Montana throw for over 400 yards and lose the game. 3rd and 2 with Davenport and Hampton, the running backs, and Hampton to the outside for a first down. Lorenzo to the 26-yard line. Hampton is the man, and we talked about it before. The blocking has basically been the problem. They're pretty happy with Hampton, and consider him the eventual successor to Tony Nathan, who'd been their ace running back for so long.
Fascinating thus far. The Miami Dolphins are doing what they are not supposed to be able to do, and the Jets are giving up what they shouldn't give up. Coming into tonight, number 1 against the rush in the NFL, and the Dolphins, with their offense, 28th rushing the game so far.
First down, Miami at the 27. Bennett is the sole back in this set. And Marino fires to Hardy, makes his 5th catch, takes it to the 21. At halftime tonight, stick around, because we're going to talk to Mike Ditka. And we're going to talk not only about the Bears, but as I'm sure almost all of you are aware, and we'll have Mike live from Chicago talking about the hit yesterday that has put Jim McMahon out for a while. The late hit by Charles Martin.
Almost the next afternoon.
So we'll talk to Ditka at halftime. Second and a long 4 at the 22. Marino throwing complete to the 11-yard line to Dan Johnson, and he bulls his way to the 1. He's the other tight end.
Strong safety, Lester Lyles, compounded the first there when he laid way off Dan Johnson. They are down deep in Jets territory. You have to play him tight there. It was Lyles laying way off, getting there very late, and he compounds the problem when he misses the tackle right there, sliding away, and Dan Johnson just bulls down to the 1-yard line.
And Marino has now completed 10 passes in a row. He's 10 of 11 for 97 yards. First and goal at the 1. Bennett in motion, giving them 2 big guys leading the way for Hampton's touchdown. Hampton has now scored every rushing touchdown by the Dolphins this season. All 8.
The Dolphins are surprising the Jets. And here comes Hampton from about the 3-yard line. He takes it over the top, gets a little assist, and sprawls into the end zone. But the Dolphins are moving the ball, not only in the ground, but also in the air. When you can move it on the ground, you are going to move it in the air.
Juan Reveiz kicks it through. 6:27 to go in the first half at the Orange Bowl, where the Dolphins look anything like a team that's 5 and 6, and Jerry Seaman now with a penalty marker.
Defense, offside, extra point is good. 5-yard penalty on the succeeding kickoff.
And thus Shula has just watched his team drive down the field. Took them 12 plays to get in. And the Dolphins leading by 2 touchdowns with 6:27 to go in the half. Revenge, as the fans here think about that 51-45 thriller at the Meadowlands early on this season. Miami on top, and thus far they've been on a path toward revenge. 14-0. Revay is kicking. And a bouncing good kick is taken at the 1 by JoJo Council to the 17. The crowd is really fired up. Orange Bowl is sold out, and our affiliates in Miami and West Palm Beach purchased the remaining tickets to enable this game to be shown in South Florida. Monday night, Dolphins having an off year as you look at the numbers on the scoring drive. So the Dolphins emotionally fired up for the game. And for the Jets, Frank, a team with a long winning streak, but a very, very tough schedule to come. So you wonder just how into the game they can be week after week.
Rams and 49ers coming up for them. And it'll be interesting to see if Joe Walton stays with what he wanted to do, and that is run the football rather than put it up in the air.
Swing pass out to McNeil for good yardage as he takes it to the 30, and he's stopped by Offerdahl. 1st and 10. Well, to Candlestick Park next Monday, 9 Eastern and 6 o'clock on the coast, and that's a good one as the Giants, with a mark of 10-2 and on top along with Washington in the NFC East against the 49ers, who are involved in that battle in the NFC West with the Rams.
And a Giant victory in that would clinch at least a wild card for them. And of course the 49ers are within percentage points of the Rams out there.
Half a game back. O'Brien with enormous time, and Walker makes the catch at the Dolphin 44. And O'Brien buying time and getting time as the line did its job, and William Judson provided the coverage on the play, but it was Walker who got loose for a first down.
O'Brien does that so well, sliding out to the right side, looking downfield, and Wesley Walker been around 10 years and still has the speed, but he also has the savvy to get into some sort of a passing plane for O'Brien when he gets out of that pocket, and consequently, the Jets get a first down inside the 45 of Miami.
1st and 10, New York at the Miami 43-yard line, and they keep it on the ground, and it's McNeil for a gain of about 3, and he is stopped by Mark Brown, the 4th-year linebacker from Purdue.
Joe Walton speaks only in superlatives of his quarterback, Ken O'Brien, who came up relatively anonymously 4 years ago, but Joe speaks in terms like he's tough and bright, he's totally unflappable. You can't phase the man. You knock him down, he gets right up and will beat you on the next play. He has nothing but admiration and feels that he is the best quarterback in the game today, and will say that to you.
2nd and 8, and O'Brien throws and incomplete. And Toon looked back as if to say, was that the play we called? 3rd down. Harry Hamilton, and he wears that stocking-like thing over his head because of what we saw take place in week 2 against New England, Frank.
That's Bud Carson, the defensive coordinator, right in the middle of that group, and he has done a tremendous job coming in last year and getting the Jets out of their old 4-3, changing them over to a 3-4. Coached the Steelers to a couple of Super Bowls back in the late 70s. Then he went out to the Rams, did a fine job with them. Joe Walton brought him in last year, and he's done a superb job, but he has a lot of people missing tonight.
3rd down and 8 from the 41, and the Jets were moving, and you can see, I think, Jim Sweeney. It was Sweeney 53, and O'Brien pays the price anyway. Just to follow up on that Hamilton situation, if you didn't see the game the second week, Hamilton suffered a forehead gash, hospitalized for 5 days, and he wears that device as protection.
Left guard.
Back to the 46-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 13 now. Sweeney is the man who is moving.
He's the left guard from a year ago that Radakovic moved out to left tackle, and he's found a home out there.
Seaman meant to say left tackle because Banker's the left guard. 3rd and 13, and O'Brien goes for Walker and has it batted away. Good play by Mike Smith, who is the most anonymous of the defensive backs, the 2nd-year man out of the University of Texas, El Paso, but a marker again.
He should be holding where that marker fell. There was a blitz on. O'Brien tried to get it deep. It took too much time, and that's what happens when you try to block for any length of time when you're passing.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Number 63, offense. Penalty decline. Fourth down.
Ted Banker is the man. And thus with 4:09, the penalty decline, forcing a fourth down punt for New York. Dolphins on top 14-0. The Jets have been phenomenal this year in the second quarter. The Jets have outscored their opponents 150 to 26 in the second quarter this season, as Craig Ellis is back at the 10. But tonight it's been Miami with the only points thus far in period 2. Kick and a fair catch and an injudicious move, but Glenn Blackwood doesn't pay the price for it, as it turns out, because he recovers it. One of those plays where you don't know what you want to do. You want to let it bounce and maybe go out of bounds or a touchback or just what. And Blackwood comes off, and he does believe in miracles after that fumble recovery. 59 remaining in the first half. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford with you from Miami. Warm night. Temperature at kickoff was 80. It was up in the mid-80s and bright sunshine today in Miami and humid. And the Dolphins on top, as hot as the weather, 14-0.
Fans are enjoying it, too. They recall a little over a year ago, a little less than a year ago, I might say. The Bears came in here, sporting 12-0, and they left defeated 38-24. And Dolphins fans, and again, the stadium sold out tonight, thanks to our affiliates here and in West Palm Beach, are out in numbers. They're looking for another upset. They've got one working.
From the 8, Miami begins this drive on the ground, and Hampton gets stopped at the 9-yard line. As the clock begins to move down and looking ahead, the Dolphins have 2 timeouts remaining in this half, which now has 3:45 remaining.
Dolphins and Don Shula don't really feel that they are totally out of it, and mathematically they are still alive for a playoff spot. Into tonight they're 5-6, but they have to consider the AFC Central, Cincinnati and Cleveland at 8-4, the AFC West, Denver 9-3, LA 8-4, Kansas City 7-5, Seattle 6-6. They are mathematically alive.
Second and 8 as Marino throws over the middle to Hampton, and Hampton gets the first down by breaking a tackle and moving to the 21-yard line.
We know the Dolphins can throw the football. That is the name of their game. But they were running the ball earlier in the game, and they can throw it ever so much better when you can move it just a little bit on the ground. The defense has got to consider run as well as pass. And when you can't move it at all, you totally disregard the run, and it makes it that much more difficult to pass. The Dolphins are putting it together tonight, and they don't do that very often.
Marino has now completed 11 passes in a row, first and 10 from the 21-yard line. Hampton runs into one man and then gets thrown out of bounds by Charles Jackson. And a flag.
Ben Rudolph really popped Hampton at the line of scrimmage.
And it's against the Jets for a personal foul with 2:21 to go.
I think the Dolphins and Don Shula were content to run out the clock down there. They're getting insistent. They may go for one.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 39 defense. First down.
Harry Hamilton.
Now the Dolphins can start thinking about more points. Take a look at Rudolph. He really pops Hampton right there as he runs right into his old man Larry Lee and Ben Rudolph. Gets to the outside and being taken out of bounds. And then the hit comes in just a little late, or extracurricular activity by Harry Hamilton. Very close call, but it gives the Dolphins an field area where they can start to consider looking for more points.
And Tony Nathan comes in the game at tailback. He's behind Bennett, and they send him out into the pattern, and Marino goes over the middle for Hardy and overshoots him. Went for the tight end going deep, and Lester Lyles was back there. It'll be second down and 10. 2:04 to play in the half. So they'll get a free timeout in 4 seconds.
Davenport checks in for the Dolphins, and with Hardy running a deep pattern downfield, they also bring in Dan Johnson at the tight end.
Coming up at halftime, our halftime report from ABC News and also local news in your area. And then we'll talk with Mike Ditka live from Chicago. 2nd and 10 from the 33. Inside handoff to Davenport. He gets to the 37, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. Post haste in a game that's about an hour old. And the 2-minute warning comes officially at 1:59 in the Orange Bowl. Dolphins 14, Jet zip. 1:59 to play in the first half. 14-0 Miami, and upcoming now 3rd and 5 at the 38-yard line, and the Dolphins have 2 timeouts remaining.
Fine job tonight by the Dolphins. They lost 51-45 September the 21st, but that was also when the Jets had Mark Gastineau, they had Kleckel, they had Marty Lyons, they had Lance Mel. So they felt very confident coming into tonight that with those defensive players out, they'd have even a much better shot, and particularly here at home where they had played so well over the years.
From the shotgun on 3rd and 5, Marino throws over the middle, first down, as he hits Mark Clayton at the 45-yard line. Clayton running across the middle and underneath, and Carl Howard makes the tackle.
And Clayton has been shaken up. Marino is trying to get up to the line of scrimmage, trying to go without a huddle, conserving time because he has used 1 timeout, unable to do so because the injured player is Mark Clayton.
And in this situation, this is a charged timeout to Miami, with the injured player under 2 minutes.
Now look at it from the reverse angle. Marino finding the wide open Clayton. Down he goes, hit by Carl Howard there, who is back in the prevent defense secondary for the Jets.
So they work on him, and it will be first down, but Miami is charged with a timeout under these circumstances. They're down to 1.
There's Nick Bonicani, who at halftime will be here with his son Mark Bonicani, who of course was paralyzed in a football injury a year ago playing for Citadel. Nick has been at the forefront along with his teammate Dick Anderson in a project called the Miami Project to raise funds to fund research at the University of Miami Jackson Memorial Medical Center, and tonight there will be a $1 million check presented in honor of Mark Bonicani for research against paralysis at halftime. And there is the son, Mark Bonicani, who has made such tremendous progress. He was paralyzed from the neck down with that football injury a little over a year ago. He has made tremendous progress, and he remains confident that there can be some cure for paralysis. And he is inspiring not only tremendous funds to be directed that way towards research, but he is also a living inspiration himself. He's some young man.
1st and 10, Miami from the 46 out of the shotgun. Nearly intercepted, and instead it's caught by Duper at the 39 for a first down after it was almost intercepted by Jerry Holmes.
The 2 marks do this all the time. They are always around the ball. They seem to always get the deflection. They take it away from the defender. The little people on the outside, they're both 5'9", but they play so tall. Firing it in there is Marino. He's so confident he can get it in there. He tried to get it in over Bobby Humphrey, who deflected it, goes up in the air, and comes right down in the hands of Clayton. Call it luck, call it whatever you want. Or rather Duper, and the 2 marks always seem to be there.
Jim Jensen is in the game, and that's he in the slot to the left. He can be a tight end or a quarterback or a running back, and it's Marino going deep down the left side and incomplete, intended for James Pruitt, and Russell Carter jumped too early and got away with it.
Pruitt, of course, is the rookie from Cal State Fullerton, a good receiver that perhaps if Clayton and Duper weren't around, you'd hear more about him. Here he is again, working against Russell Carter. Carter was beaten earlier by Clayton on this very same fly pattern. He senses it. He sees Pruitt looking back for the ball. He just goes up high, and it was a very early jump, and Pruitt, perhaps losing a bit of concentration in the collision, with Russell Carter just could not keep the concentration.
2nd and 10. Shotgun at the 38. Miami with 1 timeout left. Dolphins ahead 14-0. Marino to a wide open Duper at the 19-yard line. And the crowd, Duper.
They have moved from deep in their own territory. They've got themselves in position already for a field goal. Marino, with a little more than 1 minute remaining and the clock ticking away, will go without the huddle.
And without Clayton, who's in the locker room right now getting his shoulder x-ray. Going deep from Moore, too deep.
And a flag is down inside the 5-yard line. There was a collision between a Jet defender and a Dolphin receiver, and there's 2 flags down now.
52 seconds remaining. Against the Jets. Tell us, Jerry.
12 men on the field. Defense, still first down.
Not a bad defense.
If you get away with it.
There's so many changes, so many variations that will prevent defense. The Jets had many of them, and they wound up with too many men on the field, and it changes it to a 1st and 5 and stops the clock with 52 seconds.
1st and 5 at the 15-yard line from the shotgun. No flags and incomplete. Intended for Duper. And again, Marino is minus Clayton, which is the reason Jensen is in there as one of the receivers in this situation.
That was Jim Stuckey, who was right in Marino's face, who was picked up as a free agent. Had been with the 49ers over the past few years and had played for them a great deal, started for them for a while. But he came in without anyone in front of him and just threw the timing of Marino off, and he couldn't get it into that more.
2nd and 5, 48 seconds remaining in the half. 14-0 Miami. And the Dolphins with 1 timeout at their disposal. Marino fires over the middle to the 7-yard line, and the catch is made by Tony Nathan. And they can't afford to take the timeout here, so up they come.
And they'll put it in the air, and if Marino cannot find the receiver, he'll kill the clock with the incompletion.
Clock ticking down to 23. Marino firing over the middle, but short of the goal line. The catch is made by Moore, and they're going to have to take their timeout here. And they do. It's their final one. It's kind of a bizarre way for this first half to end in terms of timeouts. They had to take an early timeout when Marino came up on a 3rd and 2, and they didn't have the right people in the game. Then they had to take their second timeout inside the 2-minute warning because Clayton was injured, and that has to be a charged timeout, and that left them with only this one.
Gervais is warming up on the sidelines, but Don Shula has a lot of confidence in his quarterback, Dan Marino. He has 15 seconds on the clock. He can let him throw it a couple of times and throw it into the end zone. You have to be in the end zone. Otherwise, you might have your receiver pull down and the clock continue to run, and you couldn't get your field goal unit on the field in time. But Shula has a lot of confidence in Dan Marino. He said he would not throw the interception. That's Don Strock with the cap on there. He has been a great help in the development of Dan Marino. Strock has been around 13 years and has worked very closely with Marino. They have become great friends, great golfing pals. And a final word, and it looked as though it was directed to Don Strock.
So now it is 2nd down goal. With 15 seconds and nary a timeout from the 2. 14-0 Miami. In a game in which the Jets, despite the best mark in the NFL, were only slightly favored over a team that's 5-6 and hasn't beaten a quality foe. Hardy now splits out The tight end goes wide to the left with Moore. Now he comes back in motion. And Marino twirls and has it knocked down near the line of scrimmage by Rusty Gilbo, the linebacker.
I'm not quite sure of the play-action fake. The Jets weren't buying that at all. They know full well the Dolphins are not going to run any kind of a play because they would not be able to get the field goal unit onto the field.
And a strange call, too, in as much as the ball wouldn't have gone into the end zone. You complete the pass, you run the risk of having the man tackled, and that's the end of the half.
Now, you've got to pass it into the end zone. That could have been a disaster, at least in terms of 3 points. The Dolphins, however, well in command, leading 14-0, surprisingly here with that much remaining here in the first half.
3rd and goal, again the play fake, and the throw, and it's intercepted, but there's a marker down in the end zone. Hamilton picked it off, but a flag is down with 5 seconds.
And the Dolphins indicating it was holding against the Jets.
And it's holding against the Jets. And now it'll go to the 1-yard line, and Marino taking the moment while they march it off to go to the bench.
Holding, number 47, defense, half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Jerry Holmes, you have to play the receiver so close down there inside the 5-yard line. You have to be right on top of him. Jerry Holmes probably lost one. Had to grab the receiver, trying to avoid the touchdown. And with a 14-0 lead and 5 seconds remaining, well, we could see most anything from the Dolphins. They have been running the ball well. They are confident, I think, in their running game. Their big man has always been number 30, Davenport, down in this close if they do decide to run.
Hampton goes in motion, and the fake and throw, and the touchdown! Lorenzo Hampton takes a big first half with 2 seconds to play in the half.
Great first half by the Dolphins. The Jets had to think both run and pass. They had to consider Davenport. He is the man they always use down close. Play action, you'll see it. Marino puts it in there. Number 30, Davenport, finds Hampton, fires it out in the flat, and Benson just could not get there in time. Touchdown. Super call. They had to respect the play, the running play, and it gave Hampton just enough room to get into the end zone.
Strock holds for Fuad Revay. And that kick, just like the Dolphins in this first half, perfect. Scoring on 3 of their 4 possessions. The defense, the much maligned defense, the defense that went from the no-name defense to the no defense, pitching a shutout through 30 minutes.
There is Joe Klecko, not in the game. They expect to have him back in a couple of weeks. Knee problem. And he's the kind of player who's totally dedicated to this game, already working out. He's working out a couple of days after he damaged the knee. And there is Marty Lyons, shoulder problem. They should have him back in about 3 weeks. He had a sprained shoulder. And these are the people that they miss. Marty Lyons, Klecko, and Gastineau, we mentioned, arthroscopic knee surgery. He could be back for the playoffs.
Meanwhile, at halftime for you, we'll mention it again, we will be speaking live with that man, Mike Ditka, in Chicago, and we'll talk about the Bears, who won again yesterday, pulling one out over Green Bay, a mark of 10-2, and also the Jim McMahon incident, and the follow-up to that, which we'll be hearing, I'm sure, quite a bit about over the ensuing days as the league looks into it.
It'll be interesting to hear what Mike has in mind down the line with McMahon injured once again in terms of who he'll use at quarterback.
Revay to kick off on the final play of the first half, barring a penalty. And he hits a ground ball down the 26-yard line. And Tom Baldwin gets a brief moment in the sun or under the moon in Miami, but this entire half belonging to the Dolphins and their much maligned Chuck Studley, the defensive coordinator who's taken so much heat this year, because the Dolphins have been giving up yardage and touchdowns in abundance. And his defense. They go now, Al Michaels and Frank Gifford at the Orange Bowl in Miami after a perfect first half for the Dolphins. And they'll get the football as we start the second half as Pat Leahy makes his first appearance of the night in a kickoff role. And boots one to the number 33, Craig Ellis from the 1, and he takes it back out to the 15-yard line. And the Dolphins will start deep in their own territory. And Dan Marino, good half, 165, and he only missed 5. 17 of 22, the one touchdown pass to Lorenzo Hampton. He leads them out, and he begins with a backfield that has Woody Bennett, number 34 in it, and Lorenzo Hampton, number 27.
The key thing for the Dolphins, they were able to run the football, and they are a passing team, but when you can run the football, you can pass even better. But just having to think run rather than strictly pass. So the Dolphins have really had it all their own way. Now, an injury-riddled Jets team will have to rise up if they're going to get back in this game.
Hampton, good move. 20, 30, with blocking. He's got Duper out in front, and Hampton goes out of bounds at the 43-yard line.
Woo.
And goes out of bounds with an exclamation point. 42-yard run. First Dolphin 100-yard game since October of 84. Joe Carter was the guy.
What a night for Lorenzo Hampton, and what a night for the offensive line. They protected Marino, and they've created holes, although this was a Lorenzo Hampton effort. He cuts back against the grain and puts the pressure on Jerry Holmes, who played it like he had to. He had to play off Duper until he got a little bit of help. Otherwise, Hampton might have gone the distance, as he did in the first quarter when he went 54 yards, but a first down inside the Jets' 45-yard line.
Hampton now 125 yards on 13 carries, and Tony Nathan is in the game. And Marino gets hit as he throws, and that's the all-time interference call coming up. Jerry Holmes and Duper. I mean, folks, that's Hall of Fame interference.
And it was unnecessary, as Jerry Holmes was man for man on Duper. Duper was going to give him a little look to the outside and then turn it on, and meanwhile, Marino was under pressure. He had already thrown the ball, and well, if you're going to interfere, you may as well lasso one, and Holmes did, because he knew he was dead. He did not realize what was going on at the line of scrimmage, however. When Marino had to release that ball was totally uncatchable. No choice, really, for Holmes. He was beat for a TD.
Pass interference. Number 37 defense. First down.
Or at least he thought he was beat for a TD. Right now, Marino was under pressure. He had to release the ball. He's released it already. And Jerry Holmes, who apparently was unaware of what was going on in the Dolphins' background, really lassoed Duper.
And Duper is doing his number in this half, still minus Clayton, and we'll try to get a report. He had his shoulder x-rayed. And they give it to the fullback, Woody Bennett, who plows down to the 22. Frank touching on the fact, and we don't want to make a big issue of the Dolphins' playoff chances because they're very, very slight, but still mathematically they do have a shot, and who knows the way they're playing tonight with renewed confidence and renewed vigor and a few breaks down the way. Who knows?
Well, this Sunday they have Atlanta. Atlanta will be tough. New Orleans is coming on, and they're still alive out in the NFC West. Then they're at Los Angeles, and they close on Monday night. We'll be here for the New England Patriots, December the 22nd. Tough schedule for them, but tonight they have put it together really for the first time this year.
Second and 7 from the 22, and here comes the blitz, and Marino reads it, and he hits Moore, and Moore has a touchdown.
Marino read it beautifully, but more importantly, his receivers were reading with him. Nat Moore picked it up as quickly as he did. It was a safety blitz, and Marino knew he was going to get individual coverage on his outside people. Nat Moore read it with him, and it was beautifully executed. There was a free man coming in on Marino, but he backed away. He had the quick arm. He could release the ball even while he was going back, and he gets it into Moore for the 6 points. They are playing flawlessly.
And not only that, all of their drives have been the length of the field. They've all been 80 or more. Strock holds, Gervais kicks, and the Dolphins look like the Dolphins of 72.
When you move the ball on an 80-yard drive, you were doing something right, and the Dolphins are doing everything right. That time the Jets, who like to blitz when their opposition gets inside their 20-yard line, brought the safety blitz, and Marino has picked it up right here. As a man in his face, but even backwards, he's able to flip it with enough strength to get it to Nat Moore, who read with him. Great coordination between Moore and Marino, and this is a shocker.
Came to the Dolphins in 1974. Came down the road from Gainesville, another Florida Gator. 13 good seasons here. All of the points for Miami tonight, in fact, scored by ex-Gators, because Lorenzo Hampton has accounted for the other 3 touchdowns. 28-0, and Reveiz kicks into the end zone, and Humphrey will bring it out. And from 2 yards back, his run back is 28 yards to the 26-yard line. And the Jets will take over at that spot.
Right now, so much for the Jets' game plan. They came in, they wanted to run the football, they wanted to control the game with Freeman McNeil healthy again, and Johnny Hector running so well in relief of McNeil over the weeks. That's history now, and O'Brien's going to have to put it up. They are 28 points down in what is amounting to now on the verge of a humiliating defeat. Ken O'Brien is going to have to think deep. He's going to have to think Al Toon and Wesley Walker. The Dolphins, however, know that. And while they're not a strong pass rushing team, they know what's expected.
From the 26-yard line, bumped by O'Brien. He was just unloading it. And the pressure put on by George Little, number 99.
So what do you do if you're the Dolphins defense? Their defensive coordinator, I'm sure, has talked with him as we look at an injured Jet down on the field. That is John Sweeney, the offensive left tackle, who has done just a terrific job since moving out there from left guard. And again, the Dolphins are just going to turn it loose now and take nothing but pass, because they know that's what they're going to get.
That's Ted Banker, who is the injured man. Sweeney's 53. Banker, that's number 63. Banker, and Frank, in light of what we're seeing here and what we just showed you at halftime, did you notice the other day a big insurance firm in Massachusetts that has been insuring athletes has said they are getting out of that business? I talked earlier today with a man by the name of Brian Burns, who is the American correspondent for Lloyd's of London, and he's the man who's written deals for Jim McMahon and for Joe Montana, Eric Dickerson, and Billy Sims in the past, and Jack Lambert, and they are going to take a long, hard look at insuring players against further injury, especially in light of the fact that some of the injuries, as was the case yesterday, are occurring in situations that are not remotely indigenous to the game of football.
And I think you'll see, even beyond that, the NFL, of course, will take corrective action against what happened yesterday against McMahon by Martin of Green Bay. But I think you're going to see the Players Association, headed by Gene Upshaw, the president of the Players Association, also getting into this. When this game starts to lose major people and lose them to severe injuries, you're going to have injuries. It's a rough, tough game. But when you start to lose them, and particularly in a deliberate fashion, we're not talking to the injury to Ted Banker here at the moment. We're talking about the injuries that are taking place more and more frequently and more because of the intent. And I think you're going to see the Players Association, which is a very strong association under Gene Upshaw, get involved in it themselves.
Banker comes off under his own power. He had been, until this past week, backed up by Bill Bain, the longtime offensive lineman, but when Fields was reactivated, it was Bain who was cut. On 2nd and 10, over the middle, and Kuhn, who's been a quiet man, brings it out to the 40-yard line. They've held him in check tonight.
Talk about athletic ability, and while he's being held in check tonight, this is a remarkable young athlete. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. He can catch the ball, but he does amazing things when he gets the football. Look against Judson now. Judson is all over Toon, has him short of the first down. Toon maintained his balance and gets the first down when you gave him absolutely no shot to do so.
1st and 10 from the 40, and McNeil, keeping the defense somewhat honest, takes it for 6 out to the 46-yard line. 2nd and 4. Freeman McNeil, he's still bothered by the dislocated elbow. He had been a fumbler throughout his career, and he's been having trouble completing a season, and sure enough, in game 2, the injury, and that might be responsible for a couple of the fumbles he had last week.
McNeil is the kind of back that's going to fumble. He's struggling. He's always battling, trying to get the extra yard. He hates pads. He hates any kind of braces. He doesn't even wear anything but tape now on that dislocated elbow, or where it was dislocated before.
2nd and 4, and the pass is complete to Wesley Walker, who's out of bounds and has a first down at the 42-yard line. Wesley Walker, who caught 4 touchdown passes against Miami. He's had some of his greatest days through the years against the Dolphins. If you go back, Walker has played 16 games in his career against Miami, and that's a good barometer as you look at the total yardage in the game, because 16 games equals a full season, and he's caught 14 touchdown passes in those games and over 1,100 yards. Cleaver in motion on first down. McNeil to the outside. Run down at the 33. William Judson made the initial hit.
This is what Joe Walton wanted to do at the very beginning of the game. Use McNeil, control the ball on the ground, but when you are down by 28 points, it's relatively easy to do this because the Dolphins are thinking, and rightfully so, that the Jets are going to have to put the ball in the air. And Joe Walton knows that he'll have to do that if he's going to have any shot at pulling this thing out tonight.
2nd and 2. O'Brien, complete as Walker makes his 5th catch of the night and has a first down at 26. Mike Smith making the stop. Funny thing, frankly, the Jets not getting a lot of the respect they feel they deserve. A lot of people saying, oh yeah, they're 10-1, but they're lucky. And then, of course, they come in here, and on a night like tonight, those people will be even more vociferous in contending they've been lucky.
One or two of them have a ball. That was a good call by Walton. Dolphins taking deep. They go short.
On 1st and 10, passes dropped. Tony Page hit by Mike Smith as the ball got there. Mike Smith filling in the secondary. And again, the Dolphins tonight doing the job in that secondary, but all year long it has been still very porous.
Well, the Jets came in 10-1 tonight, but New England's staying right close to them. They're 9-2, and of course, looking on tonight, the Jets have a tough road ahead. They have the Rams, they have San Francisco, then they're home for Pittsburgh, and they close at Cincinnati. Tough schedule.
2nd and 10 from the 24. Breaking a tackle is Hector, and then slipping down to the 28-yard line.
Offerdahl had read the play beautifully, just did not execute the tackle. McNeil, however, still loses 4 on it. Joe Walton, a former teammate of mine of the Giants, super offensive mind, later was coaching under Alex Webster at the Giants. He went to Washington as the offensive coordinator there and came to the Jets and replaced Al Michaels as head coach 4 years ago and totally molded his team exactly how he wanted it.
Walt Michaels. He didn't replace me.
Yes, yes.
3rd down and 14. As O'Brien goes back to pass. And off the fingertips of Schuler. And going real hard into the side, but getting up, fortunately, is Don McNeil, the defensive back, who went slipping into the concrete.
Again, O'Brien has the protection, stays in the pocket. The best thing you could say about that, a beautiful spiral in and out of the fingertips, and it would have been good for the first down had he been able to hold on.
So the Jets will try to get on the scoreboard through a Leahy field goal with 46 yards unless we see a fake. And since the backup quarterback, Ryan, is the holder, anything is possible. They're down by 28. And it's officially a 45-yard field goal as it was marked down at the 35. Leahy boots it through, but it's still the Dolphins 28 and the Jets 3.
Who would have thunk it?
Oh, the newly
Left of O'Brien is his personal mentor, Zeke Bratkowski, quarterback of Green Bay and a longtime assistant coach in the NFL, that Joe Walton credits with having provided so much of the help in the rapid development of Ken O'Brien, who Joe Walton says he's a quarterback who plays like he's had 8 or 9 years of experience. And right now, I think they're talking to Al Toon and Wesley Walker and say, we need something big, we need something deep, what have you got? They need a bunch of them.
28-3 with Leahy kicking off. Spinning kick and a touchback. Out it comes to the 20-yard line. Just to update a couple of injury reports for you. The Mark Clayton injury, shoulder, out the rest of the night. Paul Langford, the defensive back, left knee, out for the rest of the night. Both have been x-rayed, but apparently the x-rays are x-rated because they won't tell us what they've shown. Miami.
Ooh.
Pretty good night. All long drives. Outside of the second drive, which ended with a punt by Roby. And the Dolphins are far and away the best team in the league when they're backed up deep in their own territory. Illustration in a moment as the pass goes to Hampton. What would you guess the percentage would be of a team starting a drive at or inside their own 20 in terms of how often they would score a touchdown? Just take a guess in your mind. 10% is the answer. 1 out of 10. The Dolphins this season are at 26%. And that's coming into this game, and that's by far the best in the league.
I'll tell you about their defense. They're 5-6. This man is magical on offense, Dan Marino.
2nd and 5 from the 25.
Changing things right there. And now the Jets change with him.
Marino to the tight end, Dan Johnson, and he takes it out to the 31-yard line. First down. Jets with a good defense for the most part this season. A defense that had allowed just 6 drives of 80 or more yards in 11 games this season, and they've already yielded 4 tonight.
Now they look like the team we thought we'd see against the 49ers in Super Bowl 19 after the 84 season. Absolute flawless. Surprisingly, they're playing so strong on defense, holding the Jets and a very explosive team with just 3 points. We're nearly midway through the third quarter.
1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Marino fires complete. Hampton having a big night. First down, 46-yard line. Bob Crable, the linebacker, 50, made the tackle.
Hampton is doing all the things that Tony Nathan has done for so many years now for the Miami Dolphins. Good running back and very nifty out of the backfield as a pass receiver. Nathan, for the last 3 years, has had over 1,000 yards combined, rushing and receiving. That role now has basically gone to Lorenzo Hampton. Had 9 receptions last week, and he is really putting it together. Tonight, he already has 5.
1st and 10 from the 47-yard line. Throws and drops at the 50-yard line. Dan Johnson was the droppee. 2nd down and 10. 7:25 to play. We're in the third quarter at the Orange Bowl. Dolphins would be 6-6 with a win, but still trail the Jets by 4 and New England by 3. And Don Shula, and you've read and heard about Don, and he's in the final year of his contract. Rumors swirling about, and then he pays no attention to those and doesn't even acknowledge them. Says, I do not want to talk about it.
We almost had our microphone in Cleveland when we brought it up.
2nd and 10 from the 47. Over the 50 and down to the 46 goes Davenport. The problem with all of those rumors is they get started and then they develop a life of their own, and they're picked up around the country, and people say, what's really happening with Shula? As Davenport needs some extra time, and you know him very well, Frank. You have to consider a number of things here. He loves the area. His wife loves the area. He's well established here. He's got businesses going, etc., etc. That's not going to preclude him from going someplace else, but if I had to guess right now, I'd say he'd be back.
They've worked it out almost every time this has come up. Of course, Don Shula left Baltimore years ago, 17 years ago to be exact, in a rather shaky circumstance that cost the Miami Dolphins the #1 draft pick. But every time his contract has come up down here, he's been rumored to be going somewhere. The last time around, it was the New York Giants. There were people in the media that had it confirmed that he was going to the Giants. And, of course, he and Joe Robbie sat down at the end of the season, worked it all out, as they usually do, and as has been done in the past. And I get the feeling that that'll happen again as they continue to look at Ron Davenport.
And also, as Davenport is aided and will be assisted off the field. Shula is approaching his 57th birthday, and not that there aren't any more mountains to conquer, but Don is a wealthy man. He loves it here. He loves the area, and as we say, very well established here in a number of businesses. And I would say chances are 9 and 10. He re-ups.
Donnie loves it, too, and he'd have to deal with her.
7:01 now to play, third period. Third down 3. Miami at the Jets 46. Shotgun. And Miami very proficient on third down plays tonight, and first and second as well. And again, and that's Jensen. Jim Jensen is getting some playing time tonight with Clayton on the shelf, a guy who can play wide receiver, play quarterback, and the versatile one out of Boston University.
And he is a quarterback, and he works at a quarterback's position. And along with Dan Marino, they both timed it out beautifully. Perfect rhythm between them on the blitz. And Marino knew it was going to be isolated coverage. And Jensen gave him the move, and they get the completion and the first down inside the 40. Marino reads that blitz so well. If you blitz him, you better get in his face or get to him, or he's really going to burn you.
First down, under 6 minutes now in the third. Hampton. What non-running game. Tonight they're doing it all. And the block that time by Woody Bennett, who came out of the backfield to lead it.
They are smoking tonight. Everything they do is right. Bennett with a good block out of him. Hampton is turning in a superlative game tonight, both running the football and also as a receiver. He's working well with Marino out of the backfield. And what can you say? They've just got it all together. The game plan, obviously perfect. No one thought they could run. Coming into tonight, 28th in the league in rushing. They're not playing that way.
Against a team that has given up one rushing touchdown all season.
And the best in the league against the run.
Second and inches, and so Marino will put it up. And falling down as he was twisting around was Nat Moore, so it's incomplete. Marino going down on the play. It'll be third and inches.
Dolphins! Offense! We want some offense!
You want some offense? That's 28 points and another drive in the making.
A little more offense we'll be broadcasting to our families. Jets, as we mentioned over and over, playing tonight without Gastineau, Klecko, Marty Lyons, Lance Mel. They knew it was going to be tough. Joe Walton knows it's going to be tough. Long talk with him today. He said, I'm worried about down the line. Said the great teams are defensive teams when you get into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl.
Third and inches to the 30-yard line. Hampton. And for one of the few times tonight, the Dolphins come up short as Harry Hamilton makes the play. So the Dolphins had a second and inches and went for the bomb, and then a third and inches, and Hampton loses ground. And the crowd wants him to go for it, and so does Marino. And the field goal would be of such length, and the score is such that the Dolphins will indeed go for it.
Claude Revees kicked his career best a week ago at 52 yards against Buffalo, but you're sitting on a 28-0 lead, a 28-3 lead. It gives you a lot of luxury out there. You can do a lot of things. First of all, you can take a long count and try and get an offside penalty, and I'm sure we'll see that here.
Well, a field goal would be 51 yards, and if you miss it, the ball comes back to the same point, so what's the difference? As Marino rolls to the right and throws, and it's Tony Nathan, and he falls down just at about the spot he needed to get for the first down. I think they brought it back just enough, and that may make the difference. There's the change, and this will probably require a measurement, and will.
As you look across at the marker, it does appear as though he has it. They will bring the change out, but that's not Marino's stock and trade. He was chased out of the pocket. Nevertheless, cool, calm. He wanted to go deep on it. Nat Moore had worked free downfield, but meanwhile, Marino was being chased out of the pocket, so he had to settle for underneath. And it does appear as if it's going to be a first down.
That was spotted by the line judge, Bama Glass, and it is. Otherwise, times the Dolphins would have felt he was glassy-eyed.
These fans might have overrun his position also. It's an interesting mark.
First down, Miami. Number 24 for the Dolphins, and we still have 3:37 to go in the third period. First and 10 at the 29-yard line. Dolphins 28, Jets 3. Hampton behind Bennett. And number 26, as a flag goes down, Lester Lyles made enough incidental contact after getting blocked to get credit for the tackle. And here comes the word from Jerry Seaman. Holding. New York. Or Miami, rather. Coming up, CFA college football, and it's Alabama taking on Auburn in the annual interstate battle in Birmingham at 3 Eastern time, with Alabama still vying for a spot in the Sugar Bowl along with LSU, and Auburn already ensconced in the Citrus Bowl, which we'll have for you on ABC New Year's Day. And then on Monday night, a great matchup as the Giants go to Candlestick Park to take on the 49ers.
That will be a beauty. The Giants first tied with Washington. The 49ers half a game behind the Rams. And these games so meaningful as we draw down to the end of the season. Incidentally, as prearranged, we will not discuss Arizona State or USC, will we, Al?
Yes, we will. First and 16 from the 35-yard line. And the pass is caught by Matt Moore at the 28. Just want to make sure you did see that. I know you had a busy weekend, but you did see the score of the SC-UCLA game, didn't you?
I also saw the Arizona State-Arizona game.
Meant nothing. On to the Rose Bowl.
We have one to recoup. We have Notre Dame. You're right. They do go out of the Rose Bowl.
Yep. Against Michigan.
USC on to the Citrus Bowl.
And Ohio State going to the Cotton Bowl. That's the first time a Big Ten team has played in Dallas New Year's Day. Passing yardage.
And if it weren't for 5 and 6 the way the Dolphins are playing, they'd be going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They have been super tonight.
Second and 9. Marino complete to Cooper. He gets to the 25-yard line. Russell Carter makes the tackle. We get the report now on Paul Langford, the cornerback, and he has a cracked tibia. And so he is out there saying for 6 weeks, and that in essence is the season.
That's the big bone. And that will keep him out for the season. Paul Langford. Dolphins, we talked about the injuries to the Jets. They have suffered themselves. We mentioned that Hugh Green went out early in the year. He had 4 sacks in the first 3 games, and it was Don Shula's intention to use him as a pass rusher, much like the Giants used Lawrence Taylor. They lost him, and that took away a lot of their pass rushing defense. Now they've lost Langford.
Third and 6. Marino caught by Tony Nathan, and he takes it to the 21, and then he's fourth down and 2. And the crowd again doing some coaching from the sidelines. But Shula's going to opt for the field goal to put the margin back up at exactly 4 touchdowns.
A little shorter effort here on this 4th down. The last one would have been something over 50 yards, and this one will be somewhere around 40 yards. McVay's coming out of a bit of a slump. Hit his career best last week against Buffalo at 52.
40-yard attempt. Strock holding. Yes.
When it goes right, it goes all the way right. Everything works. ABC's NFL Monday Night Football will return after this message from our local station. Stay with us.
Miami 31 and the New York Jets 3 after the field goal. 31 seconds to play in the third quarter. Gervais to kick off. Townsell and Stone deep for the Jets. Townsell from the 11. To the 24-yard line. First and 10. Sellout crowd. And this place, of course, will not be the home for the Dolphins much longer. Their brand new stadium, about a half-hour drive north of here. They'll be ready for play in August of next year.
August 16th, to be exact. And they plan to put on a nationally televised contest
Against the Chicago Bears in a preseason game. First half in the 25. Schuler makes the catch, and Schuler stays inbounds because they keep the clock going. Schiff and Blackwood in on the tackle, and that's going to do it for the third quarter, and Schuler has now extended his string. He's caught a pass in 49 consecutive games. 31-3 Miami.
ABC's Monday Night Football is going to return after this message from our local stations.
Al Michaels and Frank Gifford in Miami, where the weather's been hot and the Dolphins have been just as hot, and they're playing their best game of the season by far, and the Jets playing their worst game of the season by far. 31-3 Dolphins.
I think it's important for the Jets, even though this one probably is out of reach, and more likely is out of reach, I should say, to do something positive. They've got a tough road ahead of them. The Jets have the Rams coming up. They'll be at San Francisco, then they're home for Pittsburgh. They close against Cincinnati, and New England will be one game behind after tonight.
O'Brien on first down gets sacked back at the 20 by Bob Brudzinski.
And that is not positive. Brudzinski, not one of your major blitzing linebackers. He's not the one you should be concerned with. He is the man who's so strong against the run that he slides in, makes the sack. Miami totally dominating now in every category.
On 3rd and 13, there's a penalty marker way upfield as Hector made the catch. And there was a marker thrown out at the 42-yard line, well away from the play. And too many men on the field again is the call. Second time we've seen that tonight.
Yeah, Don Shula hates this. He is such a stickler for doing everything exactly right. That's why one of the reasons why they're the least penalized team almost every year.
12 men on the field, defense, still third down.
He's a real taskmaster about things like this.
Frank touched on it before. Shula's had only one losing season in Miami. That was 76. When his team was 6-8 in a 14-game year. 3rd and 8 now from the 27. O'Brien sliding up and throwing deep for Hector, and he can't make the catch, and I think a hand by Don McNeil may have just deflected the football. And with Langford out, we're going to see a lot more of McNeil, who used to be a regular.
McNeil was one of the fine cornerbacks at one time. We'll look at it from the reverse angle. O'Brien doing what he does so well, sliding out of the pocket, buying a little time. Threw the ball in there, had it just over the shoulder. Very difficult opportunity for Hector. Went right through the hands, but looking straight back over the head. That is a tough chance.
Yep, McNeil never touched it. Ellis is back to receive, standing in his own 34. Jennings to punt. Down and gets it off. And Ellis at the 39 goes out of bounds at the 48.
Ellis wears those gloves even here in Miami because he used to return punts up in the Canadian Football League when he really needed those gloves. Did it up there for 5 years, and he just got used to it. We'll be back in the Orange Bowl.
Good.
That, of course, also is reflective of the fact that Dolphins have been in control of this game and have been able to run the football, been able to call the run much more than they had anticipated. But I think they might be even a little bit shocked that their running offense, which came into tonight 28th and last rushing the football, has been able to run against a very strong Jets defense, number 1 in the league against the rush into the night. Normally their run percentage against pass is 1/3. They represent about 40% tonight.
Yeah, and they'll probably be closer to 50 because they figure to do a lot more running now with a 4-touchdown advantage. And they begin with Hampton breaking one again to the 35-yard line.
They'll never do nothing but run after it tonight. Again, against a Jet defense that truly misses the man in the middle. That, of course, Joe Klecko. Baldwin and Rudolph and Bennett have played well as backups, but they are not Klecko. They are not Marty Lyons, who's out with an injured shoulder, and they are not Gastineau. And for that matter, neither is Rusty Gilbo, who very courageously has come back from an injured knee with an operation last season, but he is replacing another great football player, Pro Bowler Lance Smell. And there's a look at Klecko. He means so much to that defense, and particularly against the run.
Hampton up down at the 34-yard line.
Our telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited.
Pretty good right there. Mercury Morris at 197 holds the club record. And Gary Davis and Abner Haynes all the way back in 67, and Delvin Williams at 151. And Hampton moving up on those people. 2nd and 9. He has 146 at the moment as Davenport goes to the 31.
And what does it go all the way back, Al, to 1984 when they had a 100-yard rusher at some 40 games?
Joe Carter. Zonka, it's funny when you look at that graphic and you think of Zonka and Kick. Larry not on it.
Jets came in tonight with a 9-game winning streak. The Bears came in a year ago with a 12-game winning streak. They ran into a Don Shula machine, as the Bears did a year ago. Perfectly prescribed offense, and the defense rose to the occasion.
3rd down and 6. Marino out of the shotgun. He has Cooper, who works his way to the outside, goes out of bounds at the 4-yard line. Run out by Carl Howard.
And again, great blocking for Marino. The blitz was on. As Joe Walton looks at the total destruction of his machine, they've taken it apart, dismantled it, as the Dolphin offense. But look at 26. They come with the blitz. That's Johnny Lynn. They pick him up beautifully. That means one-on-one coverage. Marino and Duper were in perfect concert, and Duper, who almost got this into the end zone, with a nifty run after the reception. Bad tackling, too, on the part of the Jets. They should have had him back at about the 15-yard line. 2 missed tackles.
We'll find out if Hampton can get his 4th touchdown of the night. 1st and goal from the 4. They give him a chance, but he still has only the hat trick. 2nd and goal. Funny, the Jets went 10 games this season without giving up a rushing touchdown, and then Randy McMillan scored for the Colts on the ground last week, and Hampton's run it in twice tonight.
Great night, not only in rushing, but also, as you can see, in receiving. That is a night much like a Tony Nathan night over the years. Perhaps not this good, as Nathan is not the runner that Lorenzo Hampton is, but they use him the same way, both as a receiver and also as a good running back. And usually they like to go to Davenport in this situation.
And right now, it's Davenport to the 1-yard line, and it will be 3rd down and 1.
You know that Joe Klecko hates to see this happening. The job down the road with the injured Jets is going to be a tough one. Gastineau could maybe come back for the playoffs. He had arthroscopic knee surgery. Klecko, they say, can come back in a couple of weeks. Marty Lyons probably can come back in 3 weeks. But again, their schedule is a tough one.
3rd and goal, and they've got Hampton back in the game. In the history of the Dolphins, only one man has scored 4 touchdowns in a game. Paul Warfield did it, catching 4 against Detroit in '73. And unless Hampton receives this one, which he won't, it's a touchdown anyway, as Hardy makes the catch.
When you can run the football, you can come with the play action, and you get the defense's attention totally. And that's what the Dolphins did. Gave you a little play action. And Hardy, not past, the man over him was wide open in the end zone, and Marino is having part of what is an offensively perfect night. And as you can see, Benson trying to get out there and collect the man that he should have been covering, but he was thinking run because the Dolphins have been doing it so well tonight.
Reveille to the extra point. Strock puts it down. 38-3.
Hardy's tough down here. We've seen big nights many times for Hardy when you get in close. Makes it look like the block. See, steps out like he's going to put the block on. And Benson, who would have been covering Hardy, read it as the run. He's wide open in the end zone, and Marino hits him right on the numbers.
That didn't just come off the presses at Kinko's copiers. Swear to you, we were on the field an hour and a half before the game, and the Driftwood Optimist Club put that sign up, 38-0 Miami.
League investigation.
They're pessimistic right now because it's 38-3. The mood of the Jets. Pretty good reflection right there. Later tonight on Nightline, Philippine President Aquino fired her defense minister after an apparent coup attempt. Many hopes will come out stronger. Others say democracy is still in danger, and that's later tonight on Nightline following your late local news.
And if you want to find out about some of the stars of the daytime game shows, tune in with David Hartman tomorrow morning on Good Morning America.
First down from the 20-yard line as O'Brien throws off the fingertips of Rocky Cleaver. It'll be second down and 10. Cleaver picking some of the prescription athletic turf out of his helmet.
Strock and Dan Marino. Strock has been working at punting because of the problems Roby, the Dolphins punters, had getting the ball out of bounds inside the 20. We haven't seen him tonight. We may see him later as the season comes to a close.
McNeil gets a first down off a draw to the 31 as the crowd serenades the New York Jets. By the way, lost in the shuffle here, Dan Marino with 3 touchdown passes. He has become the first quarterback in league history to throw for 30 or more touchdowns in 3 different seasons. And at the 21-yard line, it's T.J. Turner, number 95, with the sack and the fumble.
That's hard to believe. That's T.J. Turner's first sack of the year, and he forces a fumble
And a recovery.
What's hard to believe is that he started every game, this rookie from Houston.
He fumbled it and recovered it.
Is he thrilled? Number 1 in his career. Took over from Doug Fetters, who was a long-time holdout in the summer. O'Brien usually gets away with this, slipping out of the pocket, but Gordon King lets up on the block on T.J. Turner. He's there for the sack and also the recovery.
And so the Dolphins, with this one cemented at the 22-yard line now, first and 10. Pruitt wide to the left. Pruitt is number 82, and with Clayton hurt, he should get a lot more action the balance of the year. Staying on the ground, it's Hampton. Bennett pushes him back. The only bad news for the Dolphins tonight, 2 pieces, of course. Langford with that cracked tibia, and the report on Mark Clayton is a separated right shoulder. So he's out at least for a couple of games.
That is tough. It, of course, will depend on the severity of the separation. That'll be determined, I'm sure, a little later on. But I can tell you one thing. If it's even minor, it's going to be very painful.
Second and 10 at the 21. Under 9 minutes to play. Marino telling Pruitt to stay put. And Davenport hit hard at the 21-yard line. Third down. It'll be third and 9.
And Joe Walton talking to his pride and joy, Ken O'Brien, who he's had time to throw the football tonight. It's just been an outstanding defensive effort on the part of the Dolphins. And I'm sure they are thinking back to the drawing board, but this has got to hurt down the line, considering the Jets' schedule against the Rams, the 49ers, in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And New England breathing right down their back. New England will be one game back after tonight.
Third and 9, and it's Marino. Pumping and then throwing. Another TD. Matt Moore, penalty marker down.
No matter where it goes, that is beautiful. Marino pump fakes to the left, pulls the defender off, and blasts it in there to Nat Moore.
12 men on the field, defense, penalty decline, touchdown.
3 times tonight?
Yeah. Well, 3 times we've had that call, but they fixed them up.
Miami did it once too, but if you can't defend with 12 men on the field, how in the world are you going to do it with 11?
Dan Marino in his last 3 games against the Jets over 2 years has thrown 13 touchdown passes. Moore with his second touchdown catch of the night. Marino has thrown 10 touchdown passes this season against the Jets. 10 in 2 games.
And it's not over. Again, Nat Moore staying alive, working with Marino. They know they're always alive with Marino. They never give up, even though Marino had looked initially off to his left to Pruitt. He pulled it back in and unloaded one, and Moore was there. Super effort by Marino. Again, he had the time to do it.
For Marino, as we come to you from the Orange Bowl, Al Michaels and Frank Gifford. And for those of you still with us, good luck on your over-under wager.
Marino close to yet another 300-yard game. It would be his 21st, and he's an oddity. He usually wins his 300-yard games.
Not much mystery left in this one. It's 45-3. As Humphrey takes it and downs in the end zone, and the Jets will take over at the 20.
Now, at the very beginning, we talked about the troubles the Jets have on defense. Klecko, Lyons, Lansmell, Gastineau. And we talked about the Dolphins' ability to rise to the occasion as they did as we look at a new quarterback for the Jets, and that would be Pat Ryan. But we talked about the Dolphins' ability to rise up and break the long winning streak. They did it against the Bears last year when they came in 12-0. The Jets brought a 9-0 streak in here tonight. Frankly, I think we were only kidding ourselves. I certainly was. I am absolutely stunned with what's happened tonight. A great job done by the Dolphins.
Ryan sacked at the 12-yard line, and T.J. Turner gets the sack.
It's his second of the season, and he has started every game. And they have both come tonight.
And they've been successive on successive plays. He was the man who forced the fumble moments ago.
Poor Miami Dolphin defense has been hammered all year long. They're going to feel great tonight.
2nd and 17. Freeman McNeil gets run out of bounds by Glenn Blackwood, and that stops the clock at 7:32 remaining in the 4th.
Those are contract stats as McNeil rattles off some yardage. That'll reflect rather favorably on the end of the year. He's missed 4 games. 1,000-yard rusher of a year ago. Actually, over 1,300 yards a year ago when he played relatively injury-free. Surprised McNeil is in there with O'Brien having gone out. McNeil, of course, the key to the Jets' fortunes down the line, at least in terms of ball control, is a running back.
1st and 10 on the 35. It is incomplete. I think I saw a flag, yeah. There's a flag down at the 34-yard line. Against the Jets. Go back to 73. Miami beat the Jets by 28, and it's New York's worst defeat at the Orange Bowl.
And they lead 45-3 at the moment.
82. Lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty decline. 2nd down.
And keep in mind, the Dolphins scored 45 points in the first game against the Jets, and they lost 51-45.
2nd and 10. Final game the Jets will ever play in the Orange Bowl, where they won Super Bowl III against Baltimore in '69. And that's dropped by Schuler, who was the man who was lined up in the neutral zone the last play, creating the penalty. Third down. Just looking at the Dolphins here, through their history, their most decisive win back in '72, their perfect year, they beat New England 52-0. In '75, they beat the Jets 43-0. Third and 10 as Ryan retreats. Goes for Toon. Nice catch. Out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Kept his concentration, and Renee Thompson and Donovan Rose had him sandwiched, but Toon is tough.
They still have a flag down, and they could be bringing this back. But a good reception there by Toon. Good concentration. Thompson went for the interception and didn't get there, the rookie from Baylor. And
Holding, number 49, defense, penalty decline, first down.
One of the few things they've done wrong tonight.
Cornerback William Judson. It's a good time to do things wrong. 42-point lead and 7:14 to go in the fourth. Worst defeat in Jets history would be 1979 when New England destroyed them 56-3. Their worst shutout, 48-0 against Kansas City back in '63. McNeil. Second and 9.
Interesting, too, Al, the NFL's leading receiver through 11 games, Al Toon. 2 receptions on the night. The 10-1 coming in. To lose a game, that's all right, but to lose it this way, it's got to hurt.
McNeil. He's out of bounds about a yard shy of the first down. Jets will go to 10-2, and New England has been red hot. And the Pats will be only a game back. And then next weekend, the Jets have their hands full as they host the Rams in East Rutherford. And New England goes to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Third and 1 from the 25.
You could think 2 downs. You could go play action and try and get one.
McNeil, first down at the 23-yard line. Clock down to 6:35. Andy Hendel made the tackle. That is Mrs. Super Duper, Mark's wife and young son. Super S and Superette. Ryan to the 17 and incomplete. Schuler, the intended receiver, second and 10.
Ryan filled in for O'Brien 6 weeks ago against New England and won that one 31-24. He is 24 of 38 for the season, 63%. And Walton taking O'Brien out tonight with about half of the fourth quarter remaining and preserving his health, of course.
Second and 10 as Ryan has it tipped. Flag is down. It's intercepted by Glenn Blackwood. And we'll see about the penalty. Tip pass. They may waive the penalty off because the pass was tipped. That's possible here. And that's what Seaman is discussing. But still, the call goes against the defense. And I think what Jerry was saying is, was the contact after the tip or before? And obviously the answer he got was before.
Holding, number 59, defense, first down.
Brudzinski.
Former Ram who had some contract problems, Al, as you recall, came here about 6 or 7 years ago. On his 10th year.
From the 18 with Toon in motion.
Oh,
Ryan to Toon over the middle. Trying to get out of bounds, and he does accomplish that. Stopping the clock with 5:59 to play in the fourth quarter.
Dolphins 45, Jets 3.
As stunning as the ability of the Dolphins to run the football tonight, I think even more stunning has been the defensive play of the Dolphins tonight. They have been much maligned, and rightfully so in many cases. Into tonight, 27th against the rush, 21st against the pass, 27th in the league into tonight, and they have played great.
On first and goal, it's lofted and intercepted by William Johnson.
Back to the drawing board, Joey. He knew it was going to be tough. He talked about it today. He said they're going to play this game just like they played the Bears a year ago. He knew he was coming in and going to find himself a buzzsaw. He thought he had the people to control the game early on. He talked about being patient with the running game until they started to play the run, and then O'Brien could go up on top. But here he is in the late minutes of the fourth quarter, getting picked off in the end zone with Ken O'Brien on the bench, Pat Ryan out there struggling against a still fired-up Miami team, and down 45-3. And now another quarterback comes on, the personal mentor of Dan Marino, Don Strock, been around 13 years, and over the years, he's provided some thrilling play. You want a relief pitcher, you've got one in Don Strock. They haven't needed him for a long time, but he has had some major games for the Dolphins in his 13 years.
And he hands the ball off to Bennett for a very minimal gain. Second down and 9. I want to tell you that the AT&T Tennis Challenge comes your way this weekend. Coverage on both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern time from Atlanta. And the big names are all there. Yvonne Lendl, Forrest Becker, Mats Wilander, Yannick Noah, Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe. All scheduled to compete in the AT&T Tennis Challenge coming your way this weekend.
Going for about $150,000 top prize.
Second down and 10 from the 20. And out to Johnson, the tight end. 27-yard line. Strock coming into the game has thrown 17 passes this year.
Over his career, a 55% passer, 39 touchdowns, almost that many interceptions. But he's one of those quarterbacks, when you get him in there and he gets hot, he can run off a streak of them, and he has done that many times.
3rd and 3, clock down to 4:25 to go. Shotgun. Paul Langford has come back out, and he's the fellow, the cornerback, who suffered the cracked tibia. And thus, the chances of his reappearing before the end of the season are, well, he just told you what they are. Gone. Gonzo.
Langford's gone. Baumauer is out with a pulled groin, the key man in the middle at the nose tackle for the Dolphins. We talked about Hugh Green being lost for the season early on. And the Dolphins have had their own share of injuries.
Strock from the 35, and he puts it up for Moore, and that is out of bounds at the 43-yard line in the first down.
Hey, that's pretty, though. He hit Moore in the gap between the zone, and absolutely a perfect strike. Watch again, and you'll see Strock let it clear and gets by Holmes. He's the up man. Strock has it in the air just as he passes Holmes and right in front of Harry Hamilton. And Matt Moore with his 500th career reception.
And that has just been announced to the crowd, and thus he gets a tremendous ovation.
Well, he should. He has worked so hard. 84, when the Marks, Duper, and Clayton were having the great years, he even thought about perhaps calling it a career, but actually his career has been enhanced by their play. He worked so well underneath.
Bennett to the 36-yard line. You know, I'm wondering, Shula's not the kind of guy, obviously, who's going to pour it on. I'm wondering, Don might have known, or somebody might have told Don, hey, Matt is real close to 500. Maybe we can get it to him, and they did on those 2 passes on this drive. Just a thought. I think that might have happened.
Could well have happened, but also down the line, he was going to get it. Don Shula's also not the kind of coach who's going to rattle it up against the team he's going to meet later on. But the way the Dolphins are playing, no matter what they do seems to work, and they're going to run it up no matter what. It does appear.
Second down and 3. And Davenport loses the ball, but the play is over.
And conversely for the Jets, I mentioned it earlier, losing is one thing, but losing big like this late in the season when they had so much going for them. They were 10-1, a 9-game winning streak, and they have been thrashed here tonight. There's no other way to put it. They have been beaten offensively. Their defense has been taken, albeit an injury-riddled defense. Nevertheless, they had been playing well, and their offense has been totally inept against a Dolphin defense, and a Dolphin defense that was ranked coming into tonight 27th in the league through 11 games. That has to hurt later on. How do you pull it together? This is going to be the job that Joey Walton is faced with.
Third down and 2 now from the 35-yard line. And that's Craig Ellis making his first carry, and depending on the spot, he's close to a first, and if that little ground marking is correctly aligned, he's got it.
That's Craig Ellis's first attempt of the year. His first year out of San Diego State after 5 years up in the Canadian Football League.
First down. 2:11.
Interesting when you reflect on these two teams tonight. When they met September the 21st, the Jets hanging in there, beating the Dolphins 51-45. What a turning point it was, because the Jets went on to win 8 in a row after that. The Dolphins went 4-4 and virtually eliminated themselves from the playoffs, even though they are mathematically still alive.
That's Ellis again to the 30 and to the 2-minute warning.
That's what I'm talking about. A game that hurt so much. That hurt the Dolphins those many weeks ago as a fight breaks out in the field. And this game has got to hurt the Jets not only in the standings as they drop to within 1 game over New England in the AFC East, but it has to hurt them down the line as they start to think about it. Are we as good as we think we are? They have never been given the credit by the media, they don't feel, but they have believed in themselves until tonight.
Personal foul, dead ball foul, number 65, Miami. Personal foul, dead ball foul, number 78 on the Jets. Offsetting dead ball fouls, second down.
Jeff Dellenbach, Barry Bennett, and also the 2-minute warning. So we come down to a brace of minutos at the Orange Bowl, where the Dolphins lead the Jets 45-3. Largest margin of victory, and oddly that came in a game that figured to be real close. Early on this season, the Bears were meeting the hot Bengals, and the Bears just blew them away. And tonight's game figured to be close, and this one's a blowout.
That was a game in which McMahon returned to the Bears, and he just exploded. And it just confirmed what everyone knew, that McMahon meant so much to that offense of the Bears. And now, after talking to Mike Ditka tonight, re-injury to the shoulder, we don't know the status of McMahon the rest of the season for the Bears.
Second and 8 from the 31-yard line, and Craig Ellis carries through the middle. I tell you what, we've got some stop the presses stuff for you right now. They're going to play this game in under 3 hours, folks. Kickoff was at about 7 past 9 Eastern, and right now we are at midnight.
At least everyone across the nation and local news is certainly hoping so. Ooh, they have had long nights. We sympathize with them, send them all of our condolences, because we have kept them up late this year.
Third down and 6.
And who would believe that this one would be the short one?
I know it. It's crazy. Strock, broken play, stopped at the 34-yard line. And so it'll be fourth down as we run this one out. And neither team is desirous of stopping the clock. Alabama again has a chance to go to the Sugar Bowl. They're vying with LSU for that spot in the SEC championship, and they meet Auburn
in the annual shootout in Birmingham. Coverage beginning at 3 Eastern Time, and Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Next Monday night, the Giants and the 49ers by the Bay.
What a game. Both teams need that so desperately.
That's the 30-second clock, and they just let it run out as the game clock goes down to 41.
What a win for the Dolphins, and a very painful loss to the Jets.
Still fourth down.
I want to thank the gang up here, as always, our statistician, George Hill from Phoenix and Points West, Malibu, Kelly Hayes, and downstairs, ABC's Monday Night Football has been produced by Ken Wolf of Harvard, directed by Chet Forty of Columbia, that Ivy League powerhouse. Joey Chavo, our TD, Rob Biner, our Associate Director, Tech Manager Rick Okolski, Unit Manager Bob Simon, Jim Licata, our Telecommunications Manager, Chaz Wiseman and Bruce Clark, assistants to the producer, Joe Castellano, and Steve Hurt, still working that Univac machine.
Indeed he is, much to the chagrin of Charles Connerly. He swears he started 2 games over the age of 40. Steve Hurt says no. You were born in 22. You were 39 in 61. Chaz Connerly. So call me again if you wish.
That'll teach Connerly to lie early on in his career and take that year off. It came back to haunt you, Charlie.
Marines never lie, Al.
35 seconds to go. 288 yards tonight, 4 touchdowns. He got 4 last week, and 10 in 2 games against New York.
If he hadn't been so good, and they hadn't got him out of there, he would have had another 300-yarder, his 21st.
Absolutely. Raymond McNeil will take us into our closing copy. Should be the final play of the game. Well, no, they're going to run without a huddle. Go one more play without a huddle, at least one anyway. Second down and inches at the 45. And it's McNeil. And now they can head to the airport.
Now you can go to the closing copy.
Yeah. A major route. Dolphins 45, Jets 3. At the Orange Bowl in Miami, as Don Shula has now gotten his team up to 6-6, and I guess symptomatic, emblematic of some of our games, it's the biggest blowout in the history of Monday Night Football. Frank, I thought this was a great series. What happened?
Well, let's go back to our opening. I said they could be tough against a team with a long winning streak. I didn't believe it my own self.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. Al Michaels, Frank Everett. Good night from Miami. Travel arrangements made through. Promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. And we can also tell you that tonight's game from the Orange Bowl has been brought to you by Pontiac, America's road car company. Pontiac, we build excitement. By Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. And by GMAC, the financial services people from General Motors. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world from the leader in sports television. Talk to you next Monday.